Hello, 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 hello. How are you? Thank you for joining with me. I am Big Meach, and this here is a Big Meach moment. Now, y'all see, I'm in tie and carrying on because, as you see with the caption, I am Demetrius Taylor as well, and I am a candidate for mayor here in the city of College Park, Georgia. And today, I'm coming to you live because I'm somewhat compelled to address this topic because something interesting is a thought process. And I don't know if it's feasible or not. However, I think that it can be doable with the right planning. Okay. Um, we are all seeing the devastations that's happening on Maui. We all know this is hurricane season and that we are about to get prepared for a lot of our islands and those who are on those coastlines. We're going to start to see, natural disasters and destruction and things of that nature that is on the way. We got a heat wave going on. Um, and for those who still do not believe in global warming, if you don't believe it, okay, that's fine. But we do have something going on in this climate where we are experiencing a whole lot of devastation dealing with the weather and stuff that's beyond what is seasonal. Okay. Um, my thought process, or basically, I titled this that the face of homelessness continuously changes. I'm gonna say that one more time. The face of homelessness continually changes. Now, for many of us, we have always known and thought that homelessness, has always had been those who have been wrapped up in some kind of addiction, those who have been lazy and just given up on life. We also know that homelessness happens with a lot of people who have mental illnesses and families do not know how to care for them anymore, or those who have they started off, in proper care, but because they haven't been able to get their medications and carry it on, it became a more cumbersome responsibility, and a lot of them got they got lost in the cracks and things of that nature. So we experiencing a lot of homelessness, and that there seems to be a lot of the definition that we come to accept. You know, the biggest one being that we think that most of these folks are just lazy, don't want to get work or whatever, because we see them being vagabonds and all of that, asking for money and those kinds of things. Looking for handouts and all of that. For those of you who are into partisan politics, whichever party you believe in or pledge allegiance to, a lot of you say that the other party is responsible for it and this, that, and the third. But what happens when that face of homelessness changes? When we have people who have been devastated, those who become homeless because they've had tragedies, you know, uh, with the weather being what it is, trees have fallen on homes, destroying homes, okay, or at least, if not completely, destroy them enough to where if they don't have homeowner insurance, or if the insurance policy is not covering the type of damage that has happened, what are these people supposed to do with their homes? You got a big old tree in the building. You know what I'm saying? Or how about for the few times that we've seen people have medical happenstances while driving, and they ended up, you know, going out of control and driving their car through someone's door. Okay, what happens then? You know what I'm saying? And then for those who are maniacal and do it on purpose, and just drive through someone's home and through their front door or through their pane glass windows and carrying on. What do we do? What do we do when natural disasters hit? when fire come from everywhere and just destroys property, when floods and tsunamis and all this stuff come through and just destroy property, what happens when tornadoes come through and destroy the property to where there is no we can rebuild? No, I mean we can repair. You have to completely rebuild. You know, a lot of insurance policies, these quote unquote acts of nature, a lot of insurance policies are not paying. They don't pay for those, or maybe that's a premium cost, which I think is a bit unfair in some regard. If I'm paying you money for insurance and you're only going to insure me up until whatever, that's crazy. At least the way how I see it. At the same time, though, when we think about banks, and this is just a correlation, when you think about banks, for those of you who have banks, do you pay attention that your money is only secured up to $250,000? So if you have more than $250,000 in your bank, they're only going to protect $250,000 of it, which is why you hear folks saying, I have more than one bank account or whatever, this, that, and the other, because they got to spread the money so that it can be protected. So because of that, insurance companies are not, paying off on acts of natural wonders and all those kinds of things, right? So the question becomes, what do we do? What do we do as a humanity? Right now the relief efforts are from Maui, and we got tons of stuff going down there. Everybody when we want to donate cash, supplies, food, diapers, laundry detergent, all of the simple things that we come to take advantage of, or, downplay it because we, don't realize its significance until we're out and then, until we're lacking. And I'm wondering, a lot of companies, the destruction is massive. How do you go through that? And the way a lot of the destruction is, one just need a bulldozer just come through, just picking up and dumping into the bins, because that's how severe it is. Okay, to where there's nothing to salvage. Okay, so if there's nothing to salvage, and we have a whole bunch of cleanup that has to take place, what's the rebuild? How do we rebuild? What is it that we need to do? Especially now in this particular climate. Have y'all paid attention to houses now? Houses and the supplies, particularly coming out of the pandemic, supplies are astronomical because we can't get they're still having problems at the seas and at the bays and at the docks, getting shipping, the supplies shipped in, and having issues. So because they're having issues with all of that, means the price goes up. If the price goes up, that means that the houses are going to go up because the materials are going up. So now, a $75,000 house that may have been a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house maybe 10 years ago, that same $75,000 house is now $400,000, right? Now you're talking about a whole community that has been wiped out. How do we rebuild and rebuild quickly so that these communities can thrive again? Because at the way it's happening, this is going to take years and years and years in order to rebuild, refurbish, replant trees, all of that. You understand? But here's an idea that I think is feasible, but at the same time, is it? A lot of folks do not like the idea of trailer homes or the modular homes, the mobile homes or whatever. A lot of people are not liking that idea. But they've done so much better with the construction of those, to where they could put, as long as the infrastructure is there, they can build houses in 2 or 3 days. A house can go up in 2 or 3 days. A house can go up in 2 or 3 days. I'm also reminded of Jehovah's Witnesses when they built their kingdom halls or whatever. It's all one level. It's just a ranch. It's a ranch style building, and they get the people out there, and they can build an entire worship space in 2 days. Why are we not taking that same kind of technology and that same kind of know-how over here whenever there's a disaster? Why are we not looking at some of these companies that say, listen, I know you have modular homes, we can do this? We got offended when the schools were teaching kids out of trailers because the schools had the asbestos and all that stuff that we were going through a few years ago. How come we can't take those same trailers and drop them in communities? We may have to redesign the community, but if we need these people off the streets and things, we're coming up with all of this money to put them in hotels and give them some sense of dignity. And I love that idea. At the same time, we're talking about rebuilding. And when we needed to rebuild fast and quickly, we have the technology with a lot of the modular homes. We have the technology with already we have trailer homes or mobile homes that are available to where, all right, it could be a double wide or whatever. We can make it up nice and neat or whatever and make it look like a community. You know, we also have there's a lot of things going around where they're talking about they built homes out of those containers. Y'all know all of those containers that you see on the docks and on the big ships that's having all of the supplies and all of that. They have a mountain full of old containers that they're looking to use and using that as housing sources. I've seen them online on YouTube. In my home state of Michigan, I've seen a few homes that are built that way to where they've taken them and they stack them and they're able to build those and use those as the shell for the house. And if that's the case, can we then look into those kinds of alternative means of building and reshaping these communities so that people can find their way back to dignity very quickly? Is that an option, or do we think about it like that? Because we're looking to, the brick and the mortar, and we're looking at, all of the concrete and laying the slab and all that goes into home building. But in natural disasters and in the cleanup process, are we looking at those ideas as a part of the solution, or do we not give them a thought? Because what? And that's my question. Why are those not options and single options or viable options to where folks can get back into life and get back into saying, oh my God, I have a home again? You know what I'm saying? Um, what is it that we need to do? And then here's the other thing. Now, maybe it's a little bit more technical than that, because with the cleanup crew or efforts rather, all of the land where houses were or whatever, those are individual lots. So do we now have to go and rezone the lot or whatever and find out what the property lines are? Is that part of the solution? I mean, part of the holdup, or why certain things are not placed into consideration? Because when something is a mass destruction like this, what then needs to be done to change the landscape? How do we then say this is my property line and all of that jazz in order and basically to tell you the truth, for the city to make money, so how much to tax and all that kind of jazz? Why have we not gone outside of the box on this? And this hit me so hard last night and things, as I was going over the news again and listening to some of the stories. Why are we not looking at this as a viable option? Because we can get it done quickly. Now here's another thought. Maybe, we're looking at the materials. Maybe you're looking for something to withstand. You're talking about on the islands and carrying on that are surrounded by water. And when they have hurricane seasons and things, maybe they need materials that can withstand the winds and things. I've seen a lot of the mobile homes or the modular homes or whatever. And up in Michigan, when I first became aware of them, I know what they can handle because number one, I lived in um, a trailer home, a double wide, and everything about it is fantastic. It's just like living in a ranch house. I would say we didn't have a septic tank, thank God, because I don't like septic tanks, because if you don't take care of them, they could cause a much more uh, extended problem down the way. And I'm sure many of you who have seen people with septic tanks when they don't clean them right or whatever, the front lawn start to look like, a sewer heel or whatever. It starts to smell and all of that. And that's because they have to clean uh, the sewer, the septic tank or whatever. So in that, we have to look at why this is not an option. But I've never heard of it being an option. I've never heard anybody say, let's look into this as viable means of providing homes. And here's the other thing. Uh to say mobile home or trailer home or whatever, a lot of folks see that as uh, failure. They see that as poor. They see that as anything other than what it's supposed to be, and that there is housing, something that we can put up that we can that doesn't require a lot of construction. That's going to take a lot of time. Something we can get up there to where folks can find and get their dignity back. A lot of modular homes are able to be personalized. Here in College Park, we had a developer that was coming in that was going to show us, we've seen the models and oh my God, it was a three bedroom, 2.5 bath home that they had put. This girl was absolutely fantastic. She blended in well with all of the houses in the community. If you didn't know it was a modular home, you wouldn't have known it. You know what I'm saying? It was a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, and a 2 car garage. They whipped that thing. Oh, it was absolutely spectacular. They were able to do that for a price point for those who are looking to buy homes and become homeowners. At a price point, they were able to get that kind of a 3 bed, 2.5 bath home for what was it? I think they told us $210,000 or less. I think it went with a couple extra amenities and added that $10,000. When you get it like I was 202, I think it was $202,000. Okay, which is very that there is somewhat affordable for those who are at lower price points. The hourly wage and carrying on, right? But a lot of folks that were, in the community, a lot of folks did not want modular homes because, they looked at it as, oh, well, that's just a glorified trailer park or whatever the case may be. But that there is for those who are able to make that kind of decision, in your community. Right now, we are in crisis. We are in peril with all these people who have lost their homes trying to prepare for hurricane season and this, that, and the third. Why are we not looking into modular homes as a viable option? Why are we not looking into the trailer homes as an option? Because they have a number of trailers, from what I'm understanding, there's a number of trailers that's just going to they're in surplus or whatever, just going to waste. When FEMA had the trailers for the schools or whatever, they came out of nowhere with all these trailers. Again, the people who wanted to who are using the cargo containers from all the big ships and carrying on, they are doing wonders with turning those things into viable homes that are heat and weather resistant and carrying on. They know how to get it to where it's temperature sensitive and all of that. Those ideas are absolutely fantabulous. And with them saying that we have such an abundance of those cargo containers, to where they're doing nothing but taking up space in landfill somewhere or wherever they're storing them, because they're not doing anything with them. They put them out of commission, so they're not doing anything with them. How come we're not looking at that as a viable option for recovery and cleanup? Hmm. I want you guys to think about that when we're talking about solving a homeless problem. You understand? Now, one of the biggest things we've always said, how come cities and states, you're closing down schools, and schools are the perfect location because they're already classroom out. They have public bathrooms, public showers. All right. They're already designed to handle a massive amounts of crowds. You have a cafeteria there that can handle 200 or 300, 400 people at a time. Because of how we used to do lunch hours. So if the schools are closing, why are we not jumping on that to say, hey, let's renovate this? This could be motivated to do X, Y. It can be done to where something can be done with these particular buildings. Why are we not looking at these and into these buildings as the a possible way out of a crisis? We're dealing with homelessness, and the face of it keeps changing, darlings. Homeless is not what you think it is anymore. It's not always people who walking around dirty and unkempt and talking out of their head and begging for money. No, on drugs and strung out. No, homeless don't look like that anymore. Not 100% to where you can say, "Oh, that's homeless." It's not there, and we need to come out of that train of thinking and thinking that that's all that it is. And in order to solve this crisis, we as a people, and we can pull our resources together to help other places get over such a hard crisis and a hard time. Why are we not taking those same resources and say, let's rehab the school, let's rehab this particular building so that we can have it on standby? A lot of emergency contingencies are not in place, and we can take some of these buildings like that before they get all dilapidated and have to and inhabitable. We have to get ourselves into a space where thinking outside the box to solve this problem could do wonders. And I am one who would love to see someone come to the table and say, listen, this is an option. You know, folks can get out of the cold, out of this, out of that. Yes, we're dealing with dangerous times, but right now we have to rebuild. A crisis should not paralyze us like this. It shouldn't. But we're human and we know it does. So now those of us who are not paralyzed by it, we need to keep the momentum going. We need to keep all of that going so that we as a people can learn how to progress and move forward. This thing will not work if we do not think outside of the realms of what you consider to be normal and learn how to fix this problem. I say again, modular mobile homes that they can put together in 1-2 days after they see that the infrastructure is there to see where the gas line, the electric lines, and all that. They could put a house from start to finish done in 2 days. In 2 days. So you're talking about why not invest in the materials to get that done so they can build these beautiful homes in this community so that the folks over there in Maui can thrive yet again. Everybody who ends up into these kind of disasters, they can thrive again. But I just thought about something that may prove to be problematic. That may be one of the reasons why folks are not um, utilizing this particular option. And that there could be that, we got to go through city council, we got to go through zoning Z because this may not be zoned for that kind of housing or whatever. So it becomes all the bureaucracy again. But if we're trying to solve a problem, if we're trying to come out of a situation, then we need to start thinking outside the box so that it can be done and make sense. My heart and my entire being goes out to those who are in the midst of this kind of destruction. I know what it is to have lost a house to fire. My family dealt with that when I was 12 years old, and my mother was hospitalized. And my mother come home from the hospital to a hole in the ground. Hmm. Everything, everything gone, desecrated, obliterated, just gone. So starting over from nothing. All your memories are gone, your pictures. My mother had my grandfather's work uniform. He used to work for the water company, and I didn't know whose it was because I remember as a kid I saw it and it had Taylor. The name had Taylor. Uh, red and red lettering and the white background stitched on. And I'm like, oh, who's this? And my mother said that was my daddy's. And she kept hold of that, but that was gone in the fire. All of our baby pictures and things that we can never get back, gone. So we had to go from house to house to house, living with families, staying with friends, trying to get us back together. You have to realize that this was 1982. I was 12 years old. My mother was 32, a 32-year-old woman with 4 children, divorced from her husband, just come out of the hospital after being dead on arrival. God gave her her life back to come home, and there's nothing there but a hole in the ground. That's what we've experienced. And you talking about those who are on the island where something like this don't happen. You understand? So their entire world is at a what? Is at a what? How could so you're mad at God, you're questioning God, you're confused with God, you're confused with the world, you're confused with everybody. How could something like this happen? Why me? How does it? And then you look at it and say, no, it's not just you, it's all of us, it's the whole community. See, I'm gonna say something here that's going to be very that way because we are in a Christian believing nation, and y'all keep wondering when Jesus is coming back. And I dare to say that Jesus is already here. In your heart. Is in your heart. He's in the heart. And this world is changing. The world that we know is changing. And I think that in a lot of ways that these disasters are here to get us back to some kind of sanity, to where we realize that we have to care for one another. And I know that sounds so cliche. We got to live together and be unity in the community. Those words are so cliche to where they have no power until we see it in action. Because we know it exists. We just need to see it in action. And a lot of times we don't see it in action because we are so selfishly driven to where if it doesn't benefit me, that ain't my business. And we have gotten so become so jaded to say, oh, that ain't none of my business, or stay out of my business. We become so protective of that to where that kind of protection starts to become toxic because I can't help you if I don't know what's going on. I can't help you if you keep refusing it. You understand? So if you don't want my help, then it's going to be a moment where I'm going to stop asking. I'm gonna stop offering. I'm gonna stop asking you, do you need help? Because you said you don't want it. Okay, you got it. And then you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs as if to say, what am I gonna have to? Lord help me. Well, God has sent you help already, but you refused it. You didn't think it was worthy. You didn't want no handout. Okay. I want us to look into modular homes. I want us to look into those trailers. I want us to look into those containers, those cargo containers. And let's see what we can do with that. Let's see what we can do with that. Perhaps the island of Maui and other places that suffer these kinds of things. Perhaps this may be the innovative start to something new and innovative. Very expressionary, very avant-garde. Because a lot of folks are looking at Maui as the tourist attraction. Well, a lot of folks go to Rome and Italy and all that. You want to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You want to see the ruins and all of that because it's connected to the legacy and the history of it. Well, how come we can't use this same idea of mobile homes, modular homes, and cargo container homes to start a whole new wave of the tourism, because now I want to see what y'all did with it. How does this work? You understand? I want us to do that. And then those of us who, are adamant about the homeless community, and either you're for it or against it. And I'm not saying that folks are for homelessness, okay? But what you are for is the fact that you want them to go out there and get jobs. You want them to go out there and pull themselves up by their bootstraps and stop acting as if they lazy, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Okay. But how can we get them onto this road of stability? How can we do that if we're not going to think outside the box and at least make sure that these folks have a stable place to live? You understand? The face of homelessness continually changes. Continually. Okay? Change. These folks didn't ask for it. They didn't ask to be homeless. They didn't ask for that. They didn't ask for it. And now that they are. So what can we do to broaden that perspective? Broaden their eyesight and things so that they can see that these are options. Mobile homes, modular homes, renovating old school buildings. We need that. Okay? We need that. We need that. Looking at the containers, the cargo container homes. We need that. Because that can get done quickly, effectively, efficiently. And nowadays we can make the homes to where they could be, solar paneled or whatever, and to where it cuts down on the electricity pool in the city. There's ways that we can do that to where the manufacturers and those who develop these things, I know in conversations I've had, they've already told us we're willing to do this because we know folks need the help. That's all we know. Okay? So listen, I'm Big Meach. And this here has been a Big Meach moment. Please sit down and consider that. I want you to consider that. Take this conversation. Please share this with other people. So let's get this conversation going. Get this to your senators and to your elected officials and let them hear this. Perhaps they haven't heard the concept. Perhaps if you're on board with it, let's see how we can expand it. I'm not the only idea here. I'm sure that there's possible ways that you can improve what I'm talking about. If you see something that, okay, you know what? Here's what we can do with that and whatever that is, let's help structure this so that our elected officials can get it. Now, here I always say, honey, I'm not the voice of the people, honey. I am the people, because I can't tell your story. I can't tell it. But if you are the mic, then plug into me because I'm your amplifier. Let me help you amplify your story so that everybody can hear it and that your elected officials can hear you and work in your favor. All right? I'm Big Meach. This has been a Big Meach moment. Thank you. Resolved that the citizens, neighbors, and stakeholders of College Park should exercise their voting power and elect into office a leader that will treat the city as a whole city and not by individual wards, accept the ideas of its citizenry respectfully, is willing to have political agendas and critical yet passionate ideologies challenged, and will not only listen to the people, but amplify their voices in true power so that College Park can be the city they have decreed it to be and to become.